Welcome to the Train of Thought. Please stand behind the yellow line as we are about to approach the station. Today's destination, bottled up emotions. Today's destination, bottled up emotions. Welcome to the Train of Thought podcast, where we train our thoughts for a better life, brought to you by the Poetic Wit. I'm your train conductor host, Aaron Patrick, and with me,
Solomon Yau.
And today we're going to be talking about how to deal with the feels.
The feels.
The feels. So yeah, we are your train conductor host for today. You know, Solomon is going to be another show host on board the Train of Thought podcast, as we already know.
Hello.
And you're going to hear more of him spearheading several other episodes with other like guest speakers. So
yes, sir.
More of him, less of me.
Soon to come.
Right. So, dude, we are finally meeting in person for the first
oh
time.
God. If you don't know, we're shaking hands right now. Oh my god.
You should have seen this. Oh my goodness.
It's been forever, dude.
Like
really
when I started this podcast, right? Even in the pilot episode, it was the only time when I actually met with someone to record an episode.
Right.
That was back like when there was no MCO or anything. Right. And MCO hit, right? Everything is just like we're recording online and like and stuff. And it was very tricky with all certain elements. But dude, now we're in the same room, dude.
Yeah. So Aaron just came over.
I just came
after a long trip.
Yeah, Solomon was just like telling me like, hey dude, let's like meet up and actually do an episode like together, right? So I'm like, oh no, so now such a time as this, so why not, right?
Sure.
Yes,
sir.
dude.
Okay.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
So we actually planned this episode quite a while before this, a few months. It's been months actually since we planned this particular episode. We wanted to talk about this particular topic because things have changed a bit in the sense where we had to adapt to a new normal where things weren't as like, when we are all like going out and just doing things outside and following routines and stuff and just keeping busy, right? Then suddenly it all came to a halt where we can't go out and do stuff and hustle anymore, and we have to do everything from home, or we have to stay at home, or maybe for certain people they get laid off and like they got nothing to do at home, and things just so happened that it came to a point where people actually, it just left people with like nothing much to do other than to be with themselves. And it's different, especially for like an Asian culture we have in like Malaysia, right? Where we just like, oh, whatever, like, and like, make sure you do everything. And like, what is this thing? Is this thing about, you don't care about your emotions and like, you just do your responsibility and stuff like that. But when it came to such a this time, I've observed like even my own friends or even myself where, we've all had that space to actually, quiet, like have quiet time and to actually be alone with our thoughts. And wow, that's actually kind of scary, for some people.
In a bigger sense.
Like people, especially us, right? Malaysians, right? Asians, right? Like, we rather prefer like not to deal with like our inner thoughts and emotions, our inner demons, some people say that.
Yeah. That's just the generalization of our culture in general.
Yeah.
But I mean, everyone's different.
True. Yeah. That's if you fit that category. Like
definitely.
For people who don't want to deal with it, right? And then some of them, they end up like, they're sort of like lamenting, when can we go back to normal? I don't want to deal with myself anymore and whatever, stuff like that. And we have to realize that emotions are actually a part of like who we are as human beings, right? There's no running away from it. Even though as much as we want to try and like suppress them and try and like carry on with like these burdens on our shoulders or in our heart where we just like keep it, but we actually just need to recognize that it's actually healthy to like express our emotions, because like otherwise it's just gonna weigh yourself down so much, and it's gonna be very unhealthy. Talk about the mental health stigma in our Asian communities, Malaysians even.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, so I believe that it's really, honestly, in our culture, in Asian societies, and in generalization of Asian culture, we're not meant to, or we're not known to actually just speak about our emotions. But honestly, that's just the older generations. I believe that now we're in a generation where speaking of our emotions and talking about them is, it's, if anything, it's valued, it's highly valued. And with the whole social media craze and how like mental health has taken such a leap of faith forward, and it's honestly been amazing
Yep.
to see that we're focusing on mental health, which is really good. But yeah, in a generalized Asian household, I'm not expecting a lot of
Yeah.
households to actually deal with mental health, or in general just the thoughts that we have by ourselves. Because if I'm being completely honest, like us growing up, I mean, we're 20 this year, but I don't think us growing up, I mean, those that are blessed to be able to have like families that you can talk about your emotions to, like, you're highly blessed. But in a generalized setting, not a lot of people go home and actually talk to their parents about how they feel. And oftentimes, if anything, it's bottled up. And we don't really get that form of expression to talk about how we feel, like, entirely. But it's super dependent on the situation, obviously.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
So let's just take this time. Actually, for me and like Solomon, you like how has it come for like let's say for yourself as a person? Like how have you been coping with
Well,
your
with
emotions?
MCO and like
Yeah,
my emotions.
with everything. Yeah.
Okay, so personally, I do a lot of journaling, but it's super dependent on the situation. Sometimes I just really sit and think by myself. So if I'm being completely frank, MCO hasn't really affected me completely in the way of my emotions, in the sense where like I'm just stuck with my thoughts. Yes, there are days where it's rough, but I think I've been able to source through my emotions enough to know like how I feel and to be able to recognize what it is. So what I personally do is I do like this kind of exercise where I just kind of just learn to accept how I feel. So that involves a lot of me just going through how I feel, understanding why I feel it, and actually just slowly letting go. So unless you have a lot of things going on during MCO, then yeah, I think you'll have a lot to deal with. But
yeah.
I think if you don't, then like you may be like slightly better off lah. But being completely frank, it's not that easy to deal with it on your own. Hence why coming into the topic of talking to your friends or talking to someone that you can trust will help with ease that problem, or help ease that issue that you are like facing. So oftentimes like us suppressing our emotions, or oftentimes like, so as per topic we're talking about bottling up emotions, it's sometimes so easy to go through things, and sometimes it's so easy to actually just face things, and once that thing hits us like a truck, we tend to just not tend to the wounds, but we actually just suppress them and we just keep them aside and we hold them back and not allow them to actually come out, which in terms it's kind of like it doesn't help the situation because it's just going to be bottled up. And oftentimes we call this the rebound effect. It's like,
Yeah.
when you have a bad meal or constipation. Yeah, you have like constipation.
Oh, dude.
And like, you're not, okay, like, don't imagine this, but imagine like you're just having constipation and you're not able to take a poop, right?
Yeah. Emotional suppression is
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like, yeah, it's so weird to use that thought, but it's just like, yeah, like it'll come out rock hard. And like
It's just
in
really
a sense of
not
emotions, right? It's
Yeah.
gonna come out and hit us in a way where it's gonna create, and we'll be able to feel more pain, which is really tough, and when it actually does come out, it's gonna hit even more harder than how it initially felt. And yeah, so that's
Or it's just gonna be very difficult for you to like
Yeah.
relieve yourself of it.
exactly. And
It's just very
and in the
sustaining.
sense,
Yeah.
sometimes that's why they say try to like solve however you feel in that moment, or not even solve it in the moment. You're not required to do so, but sometimes it's better to deal with it at that moment in time compared to holding it out and dragging it on, because you're just like not making it any good for yourself.
Like, yeah, if you're the type of person to want to like keep things to yourself, unless you're the kind of like like you immediately react to like whatever happens to you or something like that, that would be like, oh, straight out you feel something and then you react, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, of course there's a proper way to like react to things.
Yeah.
Or like you to try, okay lah, fine, we all try to behave ourselves, right?
Yeah.
But especially for those who like, you want to like act like the tough guy and you want to like just weather through the storm, and you don't want to, and you don't want it to even like feel things, right? But at the same time, you do go through these things, you do feel things, and you end up suppressing them instead of being able to process them. That's what happens when when you suppress your emotions.
Yeah, man. And like oftentimes when we hold our emotions, it'll lead to a lot of random outbursts in a way where you know, like we all know how outbursts will be, like, and it'll affect your daily life, like psychologically and physiologically, blah blah blah, physiologically, and more than we know it, lah. And especially it'll affect the people around you and around us. Like, let's just say you're dealing with something, and you go about your day and you're all emo and like, which is completely valid. How you feel is completely valid. How you react to things is, if anything, it's completely valid, because we are all human and we all deal with emotions. And sometimes, often or not, we don't really know how to deal with them. But to know that sometimes it can affect the people around you, it's tough, because when we are holding on to all these emotions, they just sometimes come out in a way where we don't really want them to come out. So sometimes, let's just say person A goes about that day and they're having a rough day, and they they just burst at someone, and they're not meant to do that. They don't have the intention of just hurting that person, but somehow, some way, because of all of this,
someone triggers their nerve,
and
you're like, oh.
That's why I believe that if anything, sometimes we tend to act like the tough guy, like what you said earlier, and we don't acknowledge how we feel, which honestly, I believe that it's so counterproductive and counterintuitive, where you can act tough, and honestly, being tough it's fine. And I feel like sometimes we hide behind that, but you can't stay tough forever, you know? And letting go is honestly sometimes the best medicine when it comes to your emotions. Letting go about how you feel about certain things, and just letting, and if anything, emotions are like waves, dude. Like, as long as you go through the motions of it, the best thing to do is actually feel them instead of the thought of letting them go.
Just want to share a bit like of what we were talking about before we recorded this. You know, I crashed Solomon's place, and we were just talking, we were just catching up about life and stuff, and what we have been learning in our present seasons and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
One thing I actually learned in my current season was that in as much as you want to try to, like, how do I say this? Like, you survive, or you try to be like, grow your patience, and you persevere through a certain thing, like, you need to have that space where, like, you need to be able to express yourself and be able to process what you're going through, so that you can also benefit from like learning about yourself more, in a sense. I'm the type of guy to like actually want to, like, I'm going through something right now, but it's okay. I put others first and the circumstances and things like around me first, and I'll deal with myself either later or maybe not at all, because in the end, perhaps, I don't really care about what I feel, or my emotions are not valid. Like, you said something about validating emotions and stuff, but for me, I always felt that, like, I want to be the tough guy. Right. I want to be strong, quote unquote strong, but I end up suppressing all these things. I felt so constipated, emotionally constipated. Yeah,
exactly.
And like, I haven't been, if I were to be honest, so I may not have been frequently like allowing myself to feel. I mean, I do feel, but like allowing myself to like frequently express these emotions. Because for me, I keep feeling like maybe no one cares, Maybe I'm supposed to carry this burden on my back, but no, it's not supposed to be like that.
Yeah, and
it's not really supposed to be like that.
And you find that actually a lot of people care about you, and it's not. I understand where you're coming from. It's like, it's your own burden. Yeah, I believe that if anything, it's true, because we all carry our own bags of burdens that we lay around and we have, and the problems that we personally deal with, and all the little things that make us who we are as individuals. And but it doesn't hurt. Like, the one thing that I've learned over the years, and I used to be like that too. I used to be like really like tough it out, like put others above me, always be there for people, but in a sense I'm never there. Like, no one's ever there for me. But the biggest thing that I've learned over the span of these 2 years, personally for me, like since 2018, was that like strength doesn't come from being the tough guy. Strength doesn't come from being someone who neglects or unvalidates the emotion. But if anything, strength comes from being vulnerable.
Wow.
Strength is you laying down who you are as an individual and opening up sometimes and reaching out. If anything, reaching out is the biggest amount of strength that you can have.
Wow.
And
yeah.
You reaching out and being vulnerable and being who you are, like stripped butt naked, emotion-wise, right? That's not you being weak or anything, but if anything, that's just you wanting help and you reaching out. And like, whether it's the form of talking to a therapist or whether it's the form of talking to a friend when you're having a really bad day, or even if you're in a relationship and you're wondering whether you should share how you feel with your partner, if anything, you being vulnerable in those moments, it's you being strong, and it's not a form of weakness.
I like how when we talk about, even the word itself, the word vulnerable, like there's no wall, there's no like armor or mask or guard that we always tend to put up a facade, like again being the tough guy. Like we want to, like, we develop thick skin. We like, okay, sticks and stones break my bones, words and stuff don't hurt me. But they can't do and stuff. And like, I like how that this whole thing about being vulnerable, even though it sort of leaves us exposed. And that's the thing, right? The thing that we don't want to expose, right? It gives us the image of like being weak, exactly. Vulnerability. But I like how it is in vulnerability where we actually gain our true strength. The thing is, why the stigma of you being weak is built for like individuals or anyone is because through hurt we built that image. Through hurt we built that identity that me being vulnerable is me being weak. And that's so not true, because all these walls that we build up, they're not true, because we're continuously building all these things that we're not allowing ourselves to actually know that, hey, no, actually, me being vulnerable in this moment is validating how I feel. And it's validating what I'm going through. And if anything, on top of this, I'm strong for reaching out. I'm strong for being me. Being this shattered, weathered, scarred person that, whoever that I am. And on the topic of bottling up emotions and all, like how we actually came about this topic was like Aaron was talking about, late nights and you're by yourself and, you know, especially with this whole lockdown initially. And now we're kind of out there, so we can see our friends and stuff. And I would say that through this time of us actually just being by ourselves, I feel like it was very important for a lot of us to actually understand that, hey, like all of these issues that we actually face, if anything, they were this big billboard of us telling us, hey, your emotions actually matter. How you feel actually matter. And how you want to go about it actually freaking matters too. Because, if anything, we owe it to ourselves to find space. We owe it to ourselves to find the time to get our emotions in check and to feel them whenever we feel like our world has been flipped upside down. And whether it's going through a breakup, loss, or someone that has left your life, or anything in a general setting of, like, let's just say you have the daily stress of life, it's important to be honest with ourselves, dude. And it's so important to dig deep and dig a little deeper just to analyze and identify the situation, how you're feeling, and like allowing yourself to reflect on it and to see what's actually causing the root of the problem. And if anything, personal growth comes from that, dude. Like being able to process all that and making sure like you actually you gain something from, or maybe even if you don't really in a sense, feel like you've learned something out of this. At least you're able to know what you're experiencing, even if whether or not you understand it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I would say on top of this, just to add, like mental clarity will bring forth a whole bunch of healing, man, on whatever level. Whether it's someone dealing with a little bit of issues that they're stuck up, like staying up at 2 a.m, or just daily life stress that may cause outbursts. Like mental clarity will help with a lot of that, man. Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, coming back to that whole talking to someone, right? You actually need to know when you are in need of like being able to like, if you need to process something, right? It is always good to like talk to a friend or even a few friends. You even, let's say if you're going for counseling or seeking like therapy, it's always good to reach out to talk to someone, because you're able to get a third party's perspective on certain things that will be helpful in troubling times. There was talk about how let's say again, back to that whole story of like me, like just being me, like weathering through the storm with like my personal burden and stuff like that. And that's just one thing of like everything else and stuff. I was at a youth conference back in 2018, and the guest speaker was like, he was a pastor of another church at that time, and he came out to me, hey, let me pray for you. And he told me stuff like that sort of like reflected, well, quite accurately, really accurately, is that, don't self-medicate. That's one thing that I actually remember him saying, do not self-medicate. Like always have like someone, a mentor, to actually like look over you and give you that covering.
Yeah.
When I talked to him about it more after the conference, he told me stuff like, it's basically something like how you are trying to park a car, but you can only get so much out of that view from the driver's seat.
Wow, come on. Yeah.
And so you actually need someone outside the car to actually watch your back.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when you go through life, and you're dealing with stress and your emotions, or like certain life experiences, and you're just like, oh, this is my journey, I gotta weather through it myself, and I need to be tough, and I need to be strong and stuff. But you can only see so much from your point of view.
Yeah.
What do others see in you? What do others see about you that they're able to give you that perspective and that much insight to helping you overcome your troubles or processing your feelings and things like that,
Yeah.
Also, if you need professional therapy, go get professional therapy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Definitely. Like, trust me, it's gonna be the best decision you'll ever make for yourself if you actually do start to see a therapist, because you're gonna find out a lot about yourself. And I mean, we're not advocating it, but personally, I would say that you should, if you ever feel like you can't talk to anyone. There are therapists for a reason in this world. So, but yeah,
like, but for me, I would say that there's only so much friends can also do to help you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like again, professional therapy, they're more okay. Like there's a reason why it's called professional, right? That they're trained for these kind of things.
Yeah.
So like your friends will help. They'll try to help you. It's not just therapy alone. Also lah. Of course, therapy is like a big thing, and also your friends, also your family.
Yeah.
How you live life. I mean, for us as Christians, it'll be like God. How you're walking with God, things like that, and yeah, just go get help if you need it. And I mean, not if you need it, like, we all need help.
We all need someone to lean on every now and then, and that's fine, because that's normal, so yeah.
Just want to say, Solomon, you got a friend in me.
Same, man.
Of course. Thanks for being there for me, and like we always just looking out for each other, even keeping in touch. We were from secondary school, which was like we graduated 2-3 years ago, and like we're still here. Bro. Oh my goodness, you're touching like 20. You're no longer a teen,
Yeah.
We are practically young adults right now. My goodness, Gen Z, all growing up, man.
But yeah, so I mean,
yeah.
Just to kind of summarize everything and to talk about everything in general, bottling up your emotions, they often lead to just kind of like a constipated effect where, it's just going to burst somehow, some way. It's going to come back up. And if anything, for you to help with that is to actually just go and deal with it, to actually just seek out whatever that you're feeling. I feel that a lot of times that we don't really think that they're valid, but if anything, how you feel to a certain situation or whatever that it is, it's, if anything, is more valid than you believe and more valid than you think. So allow yourself to actually just feel those emotions. Allow yourself to actually just go through the motions. And because if anything, it's fine to be human. It's fine to not be the tough guy. And if anything, you're strong for wanting to reach out, to talk to friends, to wanting to talk to someone of professional help, to actually just deal with however that you feel and however that you think and whatever demons in your mind that you say that there are, you know. And yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just to say that your emotions are valid, and however you feel towards a situation is completely understandable.
Yeah, adding on to what Solomon pointed out, you know, more than just your emotions are valid. At the same time, don't let your feelings betray you into thinking that you are not
definitely.
You are not just because you feel like shit and everything is shit doesn't mean that you are shit. You know, like you are important. You are loved. This is something I'm learning and processing for myself because I came from a perspective where I'm always less than someone and I exist to serve everyone else. But then I arranged a counseling session with this pastor friend of mine, and she told me that you know, if you feel this way, you know, because of, you know, this is that, you know, whatever I told her, and it came to a point where she said that, but then you need to realize that you are important simply because, you know, you're a human being, and human beings have intrinsic value in them because, you know, again, as Christians, we believe that, you know, human beings are made in the image and likeness of God, and that if you are a being who has life, you also have purpose, you have importance also. And don't feel like, you know, you're not worth being loved or you're not loved, you know. Don't even though you feel like that, I can feel like that sometimes. I can feel damn lonely sometimes, you know, and feel like I may not, and question like whether I'm as close enough with like certain friends or whatever. But still, you know, maybe your feelings do not dictate reality. The reality is that you are important, you are loved, your emotions are valid. Remember that. And I'm praying and hoping that everything's okay with you, whoever's listening. Yeah.
Just to add more, so it's true. However, sometimes we feel we allow our emotions to actually just take full control. I think that's where getting to know ourselves more comes into factor, and getting to know who we are as individuals play a huge factor into how we actually deal with our emotions. I'm personally one for always like self-reflection and self-growth. And I believe that when you get to know yourself even more, when you get to go through your emotions, I stated earlier that your emotions are like waves. You know, like if you're surfing and you're going about it, honestly, it's just like you riding the wave. There are some times where you're up and there's sometimes where you're going to be down and you're going to be in the water. And actually, like, personally, I do believe that feeling them is the best thing that you can do. And that's where you actually get to know yourself even more. So, yep.
And that's that.
And that's that, man.
we hope and we pray and hope that everything is okay with all of you, whoever's listening. You have our thoughts and love.
Yeah. If you're having a tough time, don't forget to reach out.
Yeah, or if you disagree with us on certain points, I don't know, we could be wrong also.
Yeah, we are not therapists. We're just two individuals talking here.
These are just how we have observed and understand certain things to have, you know, come about to be. Even with our own experience as human beings, you know. And yeah, we would like to invite you to just like, hey, do reach out to us if you have any questions, any thoughts, anything you would like to share with us.
Yeah.
All right. You know where to look us up, right?
Don't worry, we're not scary.
Train of Thought Podcast. It's everywhere. It's on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You can go on to our main podcasting page, anchor.fm/The Poetic Wit. Drop us a voice message.
Yep.
Or wait, what else? Or you can email me at thepoeticwit@gmail.com.
Oh yeah.
Or if you know me personally, you got my number or anything, yeah, sure, I'll hook you up. We can talk about things. Right? That's all.
You can call me too.
Yeah, Solomon as well.
If you have my number or whatever, you can text me on Instagram.
Reach out to us, man. We're all on. This is a place for us to sort of figure out life together and like share our perspectives on life experiences, talk about a lot of things, philosophy, religion, whatever, you know, and or even like romantic relationships. I don't know. That's another episode topic for another day. You know.
Maybe we'll talk about it another time.
All right, buddy. Like, I think we will just wrap it up here, right? This is the Train of Thought podcast brought to you by the Poetic Wit with your train conductor hosts for today, Aaron Patrick
And Solomon Yau.
and we'll catch you next time. Signing out.
Peace.
Peace.
Thank you.